Now, the United Nations Human Rights Office says nearly 800 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since May trying to get food, most of them at sites run by the notorious Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, a group backed by the US and Israel. On Friday alone, 10 people were killed at a GHF site in Rafah, southern Gaza.
We raised concerns about atrocity crimes having been committed and the risk of further atrocity crimes being committed. Where people are lining up for essential supplies, such as food and medicine, and where they are being attacked, where, again, as my colleagues have said, they have a choice between being shot or being fed. This is unacceptable, and it's continuing.
Joining us now to discuss this is Muhanad Seloom, Assistant Professor in Critical Security Studies at the Doha Institute for Graduate Studies. Good to have you again with us on Al Jazeera. So, GHF, we've discussed many times on our network here the plan to set up these sites across Gaza to distribute food. Only one is now operational in the Gaza Strip in the south. And at the same time, we're looking at these satellite images that show the destruction of Rafah. And what's being openly talked about in Israel is the establishment of a so-called humanitarian zone, which is effectively a concentration zone in the south of the Gaza Strip to relocate the population there. What does that tell you about Israel's real intentions here?
Well, Israel, at the same time, is engaged in negotiations here in Doha. We don't know much about the progress on that side, but and just before I got to the studio, I understood that there hasn't not much progress has been made so far. So if we look at that, that is one side. The other side is what they're doing on the ground and what are the aims behind that. So I think, and this is what it looks like, and if we listen to the Israelis themselves, what they are saying, that they want to relocate Palestinians, civilians, from most parts of Gaza to one part, so that they can carry out military operations in the other parts. While these, because if we listen to the military spokespersons of Israel, they say that we cleared out Gaza, or we cleared out 70%, 60% of Gaza. But then we see Palestinian armed groups attacking them. And until over the last 48 hours, we could see that Palestinians are actually, and Hamas is carrying out attacks against Israelis. If we look at the bigger picture to explain or to understand what the Israelis are doing, Israel actually was very successful in military terms in Lebanon. They carried out what they described as a very successful military operation in Iran. They did the same in Yemen, but they are unsuccessful in military terms in Gaza. And the Palestinians, despite all the killings against them, they continue to fight back because, and even though Israel is doing everything it has at its disposal, they are pushing back. And I think what Israel is trying to do is to take civilians away from this area after killing so many of them.
But don't you think this plan to relocate civilians in the south, in Rafah in particular, I mean, even Netanyahu has said while he was in Washington that the plan is to put them in these humanitarian zones, he called them, but concentration zones really, and then give them the choice of either staying there or relocating to third countries. Don't you think that is ultimately the plan, to forcibly displace Palestinians regardless of what's happening militarily?
Yeah, well, that's a political aim. I think what Netanyahu said in front of President Trump, he described Gaza as not being a prison and that people should be free to leave. Well, obviously, this is not freedom to leave. They're being forced, and they're also, the GHF is not really a humanitarian company. It's not a civilian company. It's a security company, and they are. Obviously, if we read, because they're not saying that officially, but if we read between the lines, they're carrying out some sort of a military operation on the ground to force people relocate, partly because of the reasons I mentioned, and partly to carry out some political goals like relocating Palestinians.
Right.
Because this
what do you think will be the implications, the regional implications of that, of any kind of forced displacement of Palestinians beyond the borders of Palestine?
Well, beyond the borders of Palestine, that would enrage so many countries. Firstly, Egypt. Egypt wouldn't be very much happy about it. And I think this has been made by so many countries, including Turkey, Qatar, and other countries. But I think Israel would be thinking about this twice. They would need to probably get the U.S. support, behind such a plan. I think now what they are saying is that it's internal and for military purposes. But if they want to relocate Palestinians, Gazans specifically, beyond Gaza, well, this is a violation also of the international law. And already Israel has been condemned several times, to the point that the U.S. had to take action against UN key personnel and put them on sanctions list just to fend them off and to protect Israel.
Okay, Muhanad Seloom, thank you so much for talking to us. Thank you for joining us on Al Jazeera.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.